We're going to feature the structure of mine, the Eberwein coal mine from the Harrisburg Narrow O summer meet, the 5x5, my 5x5 entrance. Okay, so this is a companion structure I made for the Eberwein coal tower that I featured on and off the past year. Len Eberwein donated 5 or 6 of his best models to me, and this is a companion piece that I made, and I entered it in the 5x5, 5-inch by 5-inch, no height restriction contest at this past weekend at the Harrisburg Narrow O summer meet. And I took a first place, and I won it last year too with the Whistle Stop Saloon. So this is the tower. It is 33 inches high, and it's 5 inches by 5 inches. And this is an interior shot. The concept was to think out, in my mind, was to think out of the box. So it's 5x5, but there's really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different layers to this thing. And kind of gives you a lot of modeling in a small space. And coincidentally, it fits right next to the Len Eberwein coal tower. So why aren't we going here? So the first thing I did is I took some 3/8 plywood, and I cut a base, and I cut a top, and I cut a back wall to give this thing some strength. And then I cut an interior brace out of a 1/8 inch material. And I'll show you how these go together. So I roughed, oops, it's really jumping around here. So that's the 1/8 material. This is 1/8 material on the sides, but this is really thick plywood on the bottom. So this was the concept. Of course, I had no plans. I just I just winged it from start to finish. Just had an idea what I was going to do, and here's what we got. So I know I wanted 2 vertical mine shafts running up. At this point, I didn't know how high they would be, but I did know that I wanted 2 of them, one for the miners and one for the ore cars. And I was going to have turntables down here to spin the ore cars. Initially, I was going to have 2 of them. Then I started cutting the sides, and I had this brainstorm to show a cutaway of the mining operation. Instead of having this square, I thought it would be interesting to show this view here. And then I began filling it with foam. That was going to be my mining walls. And I wasn't sure whether I'd have to sculpt and mold these or just paint them. I was going to try and just paint the foam and see how it looked, so it wouldn't be such a pain to put in sculpt and mold. So I began adding the foam, and I used a yellow woodworking glue, and I found I had to clamp it. I had these brass clamps that 4 of them, and they seemed to work out well. I would glue one side at a time. When it would dry, I'd remove them. Just kept putting foam in everywhere. At this point, you can see I have foam on the ceiling, foam on the walls, and foam on the ceiling. I used a plastic wood putty for this. I put a couple layers on here. You sanded it, you would never know it was 2 pieces when it's finished. These are just temporary braces to hold that foam in place while it dries. So at this point, the structure's looking pretty crude. And then I decided to work on the immediate floor below ground. We'll call that level 2 from the basement. And I constructed this 1/8 inch plywood framework here. I took one of Bob Gelmacher's shells, 0-18 shells. I cut it. I put in a floor here, and there's the roof. We'll get back to that in a minute. This is that floor you just saw. I put in track. I just took some N scale rail and some um, scale wood and just laid that in there. I found a photograph of a mine. I built this wall. The idea was, that's not a really good angle, but this is actually parallel and perpendicular. And then I had this little walkway in this door. So I put this railing up so the miners wouldn't fall down into the mine shaft. I painted Elmer's glue on here, added some ballast. There is Bob Gelmacher's Carroll Creek Designs um, engine. The idea was that this part of the mine has fallen in. We had a cave in here, and these are just foam and pieces of wood. Mine number Lucky 13, little private joke. Now, interesting, that module initially had the ability to slide in and out. So I was going to have both of these slide in and out and put them next to the model, but I didn't want to violate any rules, so I wound up just gluing them in place. But ideally, these would have been sitting off to the side, and I could place them in and out at will, but I didn't, wound up not going that route. So I started painting it with gray acrylic. And then I had this, idea to put a light in there because I thought it'd be dark. So I used this brass tube. It's the ground wire, and I ran a hot wire through the top, and then I put an LED in there. It's powered by two AA batteries in the base of the module. That will last for 6 weeks. I did a test. It just runs and in fact, it never did go out. I just gave up after 6 weeks and recharged the batteries for the show. So I began working on the base layer 1. I wanted a little turntable in there. I wanted to get things, I wanted the mining cars to come down this track, get turned on this turntable, and then pushed into the elevator. That was the concept. So I took N scale track and you don't really see this, there's a little out of gauge here, but I put that track in nevertheless to put an ore car there. And I added the other N scale rail. Then I painted out around it, went back and touched all this up. Then I glued it in place. Let's put another photograph in there. And the mine shafts would go here. There's that electrical pole, just looks like a pipe in there. These mine cars were created by Andy Root, for some of you that know him. He gave me 4 of them that were 3D printed. That's the finished car. They come out pretty fair. I put foam in there and put some coal loads on top. I super glued them to the rail, painted everything rusty. And then I weathered everything. There's 3 of them in there. So it's starting to look like a mine now. You know, it's like you can almost feel the dampness and the coldness and the bleakness of a coal mine. And I'm going to jump to the finished mine right now. So as I say, it's 33 inches high. This was the final scene that you just saw. I added artista figures. There's the mine shafts in there. They run all the way 33 inches high. Put these fire drums up here on a platform or fire for fire purposes. Elaborate structure to keep the ceiling from falling in on these guys. Up close of the artista guys. I mean, that's magnified like hugely. I should go back and remove this fuzzies here. I was really rushed on this. I started this back in March and worked on it in evenings. There's the fire drums. There's the platform. A lot of elaborate woodwork in here. There's a lot of detail. The more you look, the more you see. This is going up to the next level. This is the cave-in level. There's the Carroll Creek design locomotive. A couple miners, they're clearing up the mess of mine number 13. This is the elevator shafts here. That's a nice shot of the cave-in. There's a little LED light. This is going up to the surface level. This is another Carroll Creek design locomotive. I put this operator in there. Oh, looks like I got to fix that. You know, photographs reveal more than you want to know sometimes. This is the steel structure. I mean, I cut these. I don't know where I got them. They're very old. They're old style I-beams. This is technically an ON18 locomotive, but I made it ON30. I just put in HO scale wheels under here, and it passes for me anyway. There's one of the elevators there. This elevator on this side takes the mining cars up and down. The elevator on the other side is for the personnel. Now we're going up another level. This is the motor. This is the engine that runs this belt that runs all the way up here that powers these elevators. This is a This is a combination wood and steel tower. It's looking down the shaft into the ground. There's getting towards the top of the structure. This is the elevator for the miners. It'll hold 2 comfortably, 4 uncomfortably. It's a steel cage, basically. It's really a window. Laser cut window, but it looks like a steel cage to me. This is the pump house, or the pump house. This is the pulley assembly with the belt. This belt runs down that vertical shaft. These are the cable spools this is the right-hand side for the people elevator. So there's the left for the mining car. There's the right. This is the quote gearbox belt assembly. This is unfinished. I haven't decided if mining cars are going to run through here, or it's going to be an office. It's unfinished at the moment. There's a roof all beat to hell. This is what powers the elevator, a little steam engine. This is from Andy Root. Not sure where he got it. There's that mining car elevator. There's the back of the Carroll Creek locomotive. This is this steam engine powers a steam, or this boiler powers a steam engine in here, which powers this belt system. So that's it. What'd you guys think of that thing?
I saw it in life, and it's an incredible model. I do know that at the show they were a little concerned about it falling on someone. It's actually that tall. Um, but it seemed like you had plenty of weight down at the bottom.
It's
And I was showing the pictures to my son just today and describing the contest to him. And he said, next year, is it going to be 5 by 5 by 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I last year with my Whistle Stop Saloon, I won that one, and that's when I actually thought of this. I wanted to do something completely different, and I thought of this last year at last year's show, and this year I thought of next year's model, which won't be tall, but I don't know how tall it'll be, but I have a great idea for next year. So, anyway,
Tom,
yeah,
Pat here. I just want to know what kind of weathering material did you use on this model?
everything was stained with Hunterline driftwood stain, and then for all the wood.
Hmm.
And where there were glue spots, I always go back and I match the Hunterline stain. I mix up a custom batch of some elixir, some sort of acrylics. I just mix them till I get the same color as that wood, and I go back over all the super glue joints and paint them so you can't see any shiners. And the Carroll Creek design locomotives that are featured, um, they're just hand painted they're primered with Tamiya, um, that spray primer that I'm in love with, that non-filling gray primer. And then they're just hand painted with inexpensive craft paint, like obnoxious yellow. And then I go back with pan pastels and weather them. And the elevator, for example, the orange elevator, again, it was scratch built out of styrene and primed with Tamiya non-filling gray primer and then painted with an orange craft paint and then weathered with pan pastels. The other elevator was a laser cut, very thin MDF window material. I think I got from Rusty Nails or something like that. And I just made it into an elevator with a styrene top and bottom, super glued it all together, primed it with the primer and painted it with yellow and weathered it with pan pastels.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom's remarkable amount of detail. I didn't fully appreciate the detail until I saw these close-up photographs. A thought for you for the top floor, having looked at some tram houses and the like, why don't you put a workbench up there with a bunch of tools scattered on it? All those machinery needs adjustment and work all the time. You could put a guy up there, tools and so forth.
That's a good idea. I'm also going to put stairs up to that.
Yep.
My wife said, "How do you get up there?" I said, "Well, you can't because I have to stay within a 5-inch by 5-inch footprint." But now that the contest is over, I'll put stairs from the elevator shaft to the up to that level, you know. So anyway.